Hi, welcome to Darcy's Misadventures with Miss Mixed Media. I couldn't get it the first time, can't get it this time either. I am playing with making my own stencils. I don't know why I'm not waiting until my Mylar gets here, but for now, I'm still playing with my transparency film, which I got at the thrift store. So it is just transparency film. I think I got it half off, so I probably paid $1.50 for it. Most of them were still in there. This was like 50 sheets, so probably at least 48 excuse me, sheets in there. And like for these, I drew my leaves and traced them. For this, I just do it freehand, and then when it broke in a couple places, I just got some tips and tricks that I've learned in the last 2 times I've made stencils. This is just stuff I've learned from making them. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just trying stuff. I always preface that with that. So I did just, regular Scott tape, this stuff. Ew, gross. This has a hair on it. This is all unscripted. So I put a piece on this side and a piece on this side, and then used my X-Acto knife and cut it where I wanted to, because in one place it had actually broke, and another place it was just too thin to not break. So you don't have to be afraid of making mistakes when you do these, because a little tape and it'll fix. Now you notice mine doesn't have a border on the edge. Well, you can notice it better here. It's because the reason I'm making stencils is for my geliplate, not for using on paper, because this stuff is just kind of flimsy for using on with. I used my brush, and it's hard to hold it because it is flimsy, because it's just transparency. But I think that you could still just use mixed media paper or cardstock and make cutouts or stencils to use on your gel plate, or with the brush if you want to make your own stencils. You don't have to have the transparency film. Someone else mentioned that you could cover your cardstock with plastic, like either oh my goodness, contact paper or tape, like packing tape. But I don't think you need to. Even if you're using it on your gel plate, just let the paint dry completely in between, and every layer of paint is just going to make it a little stronger. So if you want to just cut out from, I wouldn't use just copy paper. I don't think that would last very long unless you just want it for one project. So you just cut it out, and then you throw it on your gel plate and paint over it, and then you have that shape. If you watched yesterday's gel plate or jelly plate play, you will see how I did that. I made a smaller one of these. And I did a live video today on Penny's Junk Journal with Penny is the name of the group. It's a private group, but you can join it. And on Sundays at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is when I am live for about an hour and a half or so usually. And today this is what we did. So I showed how I made this flower, just made it a little bit smaller. This is the one I made originally, but I wanted more sizes anyway. And then I was just kept going after we finished, and I thought I would come on and show some tips and tricks. It took me a little while to figure out how to do the leaves as stencils. That's part of it. And I had to make sure that there was something connecting to the edges, unless I want just an empty leaf, which you can do. So when I drew this one out, I just cut out these bits so that I got, where's that one? Here we go. So that's what that one is, although then I doodled on it. So if you ever have a challenge where it says do a doodle, just, use a stencil and doodle on your stencil. And then this is this one. And then because I did this when I outlined it, I'm now doing this one with this outline. So I just traced it out. I was using my Copic markers, but they kept getting black all over me. So now I'm trying I'm going to have to do it on here, I think. And I finally drew a bird. Like, this is what my first bird looked like. I was using him. So when I was trying to, he still doesn't look quite like him. But in order to get the right shape, I actually had to turn it like this, and then I had a little better luck. So I don't know if you guys have that issue or not. If it's like in a bird shape, can't do it. Turn it on its side. Okay, I can draw it now. And then so when you do a stencil, you can, where'd my bird stencil go? You then have a cutout after that. Then, so the cutout, I could still use on my jelly plate, and I cut his wing out. So then if I use him on the jelly plate, then I get him and the wing a different color than his shape, which is cute. And I made myself, let's see, where is he? He's here. My little, I actually kind of love him. He doesn't look like a regular bunny. He's a little fat bunny, little fat bottom bunny. And I actually kind of like him. I don't know. Just kept trying until I got something I liked. And I don't hate him. I actually think he came out kind of cute. But because I want to use these things to make digitals, I'm trying to use my own artwork. And so I don't have to deal with copyright issues. So like here, most of my outline, because I want to be able to see that the outline of the leaf is the shape of, that I have those little pointy bits. And then I need to stop there because I've got a line here. You can't see it, but there's a line there. There really is. And now I need to connect. Let's see. I can't hardly see either. This is why I had that white paper before. I can't see all this either, or I would. But I actually found it's a little bit easier to cut. My lines are a little bit more, they aren't quite as smooth, but it is easier to cut, if that makes any sense, on my cutting board than my self-healing mat. Where am I? So I want to come from here. I need to kind of hold that down so that stays up there. Down to here. Alright, I stopped a little before because I don't want to go over my line. Whoops, plus my line doesn't meet up there anyway. And then I come from this corner up, and that's what you do if you don't want to have those little cross marks at the edge. Like I think I showed that with just like a square. Oh, and you want to be careful if it doesn't pull easily. You want to make sure you finish. See, I did come over there a little bit, but that's all right. You want to make sure that if it's not coming off easily, use your X-Acto knife to cut it off. And if it's just kind of midway, just hold this down when you pull it. Otherwise, the problem you're going to have, sorry, I'm trying to see where I want to come up to because my thing is so light. The problem you're going to have, oh, I just went through my bird. Alright, I'm actually not, you're going to have those cross lines. I turned my paper, kind of like a sewing machine. Kind of leaving that down and turning my paper. Is how I've kind of, and then I need to hold this because otherwise it does weird things. I'm just kind of, I'm holding it behind the blade, not on the inside of the blade. And I'm trying not to lift my pencil. That's not a pencil. What is this? My knife, so that I don't get those cross pieces. And it would have been better if I had stopped here and come up. I have a little bit of a cross there. Like, when I say cross piece, I mean like when you have that and then you're coming back over here and you don't stop in time, so I'll do an exaggerated, so like they kind of cross like that. So if you don't want that to happen, you need to start at your corner every time. So you start at the corner. I would come back here at the corner and come back to that and then start at the corner. Ideally, I mean, if you don't want those crossing the lands. I learned that somewhere. I forget where. Let's see. So I'm just, how is that one supposed to be? I've lost my lines now. Alright, I need to come down like this. Now, you don't have to do all these designs in this thing. And then you won't have to worry about trying to get your line. Then you don't have to worry about, I don't know why my ink is coming off today when it didn't yesterday. That's what I'm wondering. I was using a Copic marker yesterday, not yesterday, Friday is when I was working on this. So also you can do this like where I'm just not picking it up, but then I stopped at the end so I can go back to here and come back that way so I don't get my cross line, hopefully, fingers crossed. And then that bit came off easy. This one doesn't want to come off easy, but I think it will come off fairly easy, so I'm going to put my finger down like that, and that way it doesn't rip up. Don't know if that makes sense or not. Okay. It's very more of a demonstration than a tutorial, but just this is what I've learned, kind of a deal. In my short career, not career, my short foray into, actually it looks like I'm going to have to change my blade again, into making leaves, into making stencils. I don't just make leaves. Oh shoot, I connected that there. Let's see. Wait, alright, so here I've made the mistake of I'm not connected here anymore. And I don't need to, but I want to connect there because I want to have a line going up there. So, you get to see how I use my tape to fix it. And I didn't even make that mistake on purpose. But learning this trick has helped me to not be afraid of making mistakes. So I'm just putting pieces of tape on one side and a piece of tape on the other side, making sure that they're at least in the right same place where I'm going to be cutting. And now I can recut here and cut here. Maybe get that out of my way, because that's just should be separate now. I just gotta take it off of that plastic there. Okay, good. Now I want this line I've lost my other lines. I'm just kind of, I prefer to do it freehand. Of course, it's easier when there's not a glare. I have a little bit of a glare right now. Sorry. I didn't have enough time to pause that first time. Sorry about that. Okay, now that I'm not having to follow my light pink lines that I couldn't see, I can go ahead and take it off the paper. The only reason I had it on the paper is because I was trying to see the lines. And when I'm doing my jelly prints, I like things to be a little more organic and not perfect anyway. It just seems fun, more fun to me that way. I don't know why. Oh, that was just tape, so it came off easily. So now we can see what that leaf looks like. Just put it right next to our cute little fat bunny. Everything's just blue today because that was the brush that was nearest to me. Oops. These are a little rough over here, but I'm alright with that. So that's kind of how that leaf came out. So I think that's all I'm going to do for leaves though, because I'm going to, my Mylar sheets I'm getting are 12 by 12, and one of my gel plates is 12 by 12. So I'm probably going to want to do like just a bunch of falling leaves on one, and stuff like that. And, oh shoot. Speaking of gel prints, that's what I was going to play with, the ones that I just made so that I could. But I think that was everything that I learned. Also, if you're not worrying about using it for digitals or whatever, you can just, you know, find a picture of a bird or even a photograph of a bird. That's what one gal did. And, you know, cut that out. Like say you want to do a hand with a pencil in it or something, you would just, I mean, it's a little too detailed. Or maybe a butterfly. Say you want to do a little butterfly. Let's see. I was trying to do a escape. Let's see. You could just, you get it. You could trace a picture and cut that out. I have the most fun doing freehand. And like when I did the waves, I was starting to do the waves earlier. Here we are. And you can see a little bit better if I have this, I think. So they're just random. You can see there's no ink on this because this is one that I am doing freehand. So, you know, you just kind of, it's a nice way to practice your curves too. Just kind of keep doing that. There we go. Doing small ones and big ones. Some start from the top, some start from the bottom. And you want them to alternate. And they don't have to necessarily even look like water, because really what you just want is just an effect. This is the other one that I made. There, you can see that one. It's just really simple, but it has a really cool effect because look at that on there. Isn't that cool? And then one of my leaves is on there, one of these. So you can also do cutouts, and you don't have to use transparency paper for this kind of thing. You can just use cardstock. This is transparency paper. This is mixed media paper. Anything else real quick before I, you know, it was fairly quiet chat because the gals were like very into making their stencils today, which was cool. That was fun. If you haven't seen any of my other videos where I've done some jelly printing, the nice thing about these is I have this with the open spaces, but then some of the ones that came out, you know, that didn't get cut because I used my X-Acto knife, I have to place on my jelly plate. And once I put them on my jelly plate, I can see them. But I could do these kinds of shapes. I could do just as easily with some cardstock or mixed media paper, and just make sure they dry in between. And those are my water. Those are my water drops. And then some of the water drops I kept, and I put that little highlight in them. And let's see, these are my smaller blobs. What's nice, yeah, I can see my stencils now. I gotta go play with my jelly plate just so I can see my stencils again. Oh, I just made these today. I'm like, I have another leaf one. And then I tried to make, let's see, this one is a freehand one I made, but it's the other, where is it? It's this one, a carnation. I was trying to make a carnation because it's my mother-in-law's favorite flower. I just really need to redo this bottom part. I think the top part came out okay. And then this one, I actually used this as kind of a template. I think I have a bigger one somewhere. And so I had I don't know where that one is. should be right here. Oh, here it is. There it is. So I kind of like, I traced the outline of it, and then I did all the lines, and then that's what these are. But I don't think they actually look like carnations in particular, but they're still pretty. So like you could do that kind of a stencil too, where you just, you know, you have the outline, so you could do a lighter color. And the reason this is so mauve on the edges is because of the black. My Copic marker was leaking. I think this is backwards. I don't know. There, is that right? Probably not. Oh, there it is. So, and then you have your other bits. This took a while, getting all those little lines. But it was helpful to have a guide, but some of them went off, so it's not exact. But I enjoy doing it freehand too. That's some of my favorite ones were freehand. And I might show you guys how I did that flower, because I don't mind having another flower. And it's just really easy to do, and it's just a freehand flower that I did. And I'm talking about this flower right here, and the smaller version. I mean, you could even do something simple like a, I don't know, can you see that that's a lightning bolt? But yeah, this is the flower that I showed today. I actually have a way that I do it so that I can start with fairly, I don't want perfectly even, perfectly perfect, but I can start out with fairly regular intervals the way I do it. I'll show you as soon as I can get these put away. I can do this. Sure I can. I got a blank one, yes. I got a blank space, baby. Alright, so for this first part, I do need to use this. And like I said, I like the organic feel, so I really like my, I love my little fat bunny. He's not free-handed, but, I mean, I drew him freehand. But I did not cut him freehand. That would never come out right. It's just the little teardrop shapes I can do freehand. Alright, so I kind of center this somewhat here. And then I start near the center, not in the center, because otherwise it's going to fall apart in the center. So I need to leave some place in the center. And then I kind of come out to however long. My biggest one, I started way out here with my first petal. This next one I did to about here with my first petal. I'm just going to do really short petals this time, because I want different size. So I'm not starting right in the center. I'm just kind of coming out and kind of touching that corner right there. And then coming out this way and trying to meet up over there. And since my arm is not see-through, I kind of have to do that. And then you can either turn your paper, you could turn your mat. Okay, we don't want to come out here. Let's just kind of doing a little sawing motion here. And hold on, I can't see good. The light's not great. So if you make a mistake and you come out too far to where you're going to have a thin line, you just fix it a little bit. You just kind of adjust. And flowers are not perfectly symmetrical. The leaves are not all exactly the same size. You just do the best you can, and you know, make it. It doesn't have to be perfect, even if your lines are a little bit rigid. All right, and then I end up going when I turn my paper, because I was trying to center this a little bit here so I can do this here. I just can never get it centered when I actually make it. I don't worry about it though. Also, this one might be skinnier than that one, and that's okay too. Alright, I'm not going to pull that out yet. I think I can do this. I'm not sure. Sometimes I can go this way with my hand. Kind of going, touching it or going near that point. I'm not looking for perfection. I'm just trying to get... I can't do it from that angle at all. Just try to get the start of my flower, basically. Now, I'm not using the inside pieces, so where I kind of messed up right there, it's alright, because I can just come above that and get the shape I prefer. So now I have 4 pieces, 4 petals. I don't know if you can't see that. Let's see. I was gonna do a little bit of, so you just have the 4 petals. No, you can't see that. I don't have enough stuff on my brush. You can, hopefully you saw those 4 petals. Okay, now I'm going to take those petals and put them on the straight lines for the most part. I mean, they're not going to be perfect because it's not perfect, because I'm not perfect. I'm also going to try to get my center in the center. So now I'm still using this as my guide though for this next petal, because this is my inside. So I'm just kind of making an angle here, and I'm just going to do that all around. I don't know why I'm turning it. You don't have to turn it. That's not necessary. It's just for a guide for, and after this it doesn't matter. I don't this is the only part that I use. We'll come down here. Okay. And I probably could do it without that right now. Okay. Now I can go back to not having to use my, and you don't have to use the ruler. You could just, you know, wing it. That works too. And now I'm just making lines that come down here, trying to keep my lines in between the petals fairly even, but not even Steven. We'll just do even Steven's cousin. It doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. And I think you'll find that you like it not perfect. I prefer it not perfect. And I've already shown you, you know, if a thing breaks or whatever, it's fixable. Alright, I can see on this side easier. I don't know what you can see, but that's what I can see is on this side of my hand. Maybe your hand's invisible and you can see the other side. I doubt it though. I'm kind of giving that a curve. So we have the idea that there's a circle in the middle. So I'm kind of giving that a curve too. Where I come down with these. This one's going to be a little more delicate than my other ones, just because my it's a smaller flower, so I'm making it a little bit. I'm not making my lines as thick. Hey, could you turn off your alert, please? If you're new to this channel, that is just Nathan's Dexcom. Yo, yeah, I definitely need to. It's not supposed to have a flat tip. I definitely need to put on a new blade already. I had just put one on Friday before I started doing this. I started with a fresh blade. Now I'm kind of wondering what happened to the tip. So I want to put a curve on this here too. And then we get this, a circle in the middle. That's the first one I've done where I've actually made a circle in the middle though. That's not necessarily how I did the first two. Okay, I've got a lot of reflection. So the only problem with using plastic is you get a lot of reflection. Okay, we're getting to the next part, I promise. Sorry about my hair if you're having to see my messy hair. It's messy, I know. But I'm not going anywhere today, so I'm not fixing it. It's just the at-home. The front is, there we go. front stuck up with a barrette and the back is stuck up with a clip. And now, the natural tendency for a person is to kind of go from center to center. But when I looked at a flower, it kind of wasn't. It was, you know, so I start kind of like a third of the way up here and maybe go over to the center here. But you do it how you want. If you want to go center to center, you can. It'll look a little different than mine. And then I come over a little bit. So there will be, and not all of my, not all of my curves are the same height or anything. It's because that's not how flowers grow either. So yeah, this is, oh my goodness. I'm not getting all the way to my corners. It's really better to go toward, well, it's maybe, you know how they say to go away from you when you do stuff like that? Oh, this is one case where it's weirder to go away from you with the blade. But you just want to stay controlled with the blade and have a nice, good surface, like a healing board or a cutting board. I just found this was a little bit easier to work with. See, this one's a lot smaller, and that's all right. The only thing, all right, it's easier to cut, but my edges, when I do that turn, especially if I don't pick it up, it doesn't go through for some reason. For some reason. But yeah, these flowers I really enjoyed how they turned out, and I really liked how they looked when I used them on the jelly plate. And squirrel. I think the back of this one, no, not that one. Which one had it? I've got one here, I promise. I've got the big one too, but oh, and also you guys missed it, but see, this is the flower. I did an experiment yesterday, just making a whole bunch of combinations on the jelly plate. I used like 5 or 6 colors, but you know, I'd put a color down and be like, which color do I not like with this color? And so then I'd put another color, like I put brown, and then I put orange, because that's just not a color combination that I really like. Or there are some colors that I have in my stash that I don't love. I don't know how. I guess maybe it's the fluorescent lights when you're picking these things up. I don't know. But yeah, so, and then, you know, when I put the orange down, I'm like, what do I not like with orange? And I'd put whatever color that was, and I did that like 5 or 6 colors deep, and only one came out really horrible looking, and that's because I started with a really gross gray, so it just kind of looked, it just looked pukey. So there's, you know, so I guess my experiment was just to see, you know, how hard it was to mess up on a gel plate with colors. It's really, because your previous color kind of mixes with your current color, you know, the next color you put down, it blends, it ends up mixing a little bit, and so then that makes them more cohesive, I guess. I don't know. I was just surprised that of like the 5 or 6 prints that I did, only one was truly hideous, using, you know, color combinations that I don't care for. I love all the colors. There's just color combinations that I don't always love. So, all right, and then I've just kind of made a rotation around this flower, adding some petals, and I'm going to go at least one more time, and I'm just going across those, but not necessarily the same place each time. And then here I've got the top of that petal. I'm keeping that shape of that petal. Does that make sense? Where did I put my brown one that you could actually see? There's a bird outside. I just saw him. Well, if I found my flower, I'll show you. Well, maybe you can see. Nope, you can't see here. You can only see the middle flower here. Whatever. But you could see how I kept the shapes of the outline of the foremost petals. Is that the words I want? You guys know words are hard in real life, and words are even harder when you're making a video, because like you're either doing like, you know, the stream of conscious thing and you don't even realize what you're saying, and so you're like, oh man, I didn't mean to say that word, I meant to say a different word, or I just can't think of words, which a lot of times for me it's both. To be honest, it's both. It's both the stream of consciousness, words just fly out of my mouth and I hear them later, I'm like, what? I know that that was green, not pink. Why did I call it green? I mean pink, you know? There's always stuff like that. I think the other day I said jelly print instead of washi tape, which is what I meant to say. There's always something. There's probably every video I probably have the wrong word somewhere. See, I'm trying to keep the shape of the petal before it, because the ones in the back are background petals, so they don't get to determine. It's the forefront petals that determine where the lines go. See, this one's the most forefront, so I follow the line of that one until I get to this one. And I guess you could do the same thing if you were just drawing it freehand instead of cutting it freehand. This is just this, and like teardrop shapes and leaf shapes are the ones that and the squiggly shapes are the ones that I found the easiest to freehand. I don't know if there's any other shapes that I could easily freehand. Like doing a bird or a bunny, no, I cannot freehand those with a knife. I have to practice those. Now, after I draw it on there and cut it, it may not even look like the original thing that I drew, because, you know, there are some adjustments that happen when your knife doesn't go exactly where you were hoping it would. So, I don't know, I figured since someone in the group, actually, but 2 or 3 people in the group were interested in how I did the stencils, I thought I'd just come on and do what I did there, basically. And then if people want to come watch me twice as fast on YouTube instead of watching the live, they could. So I don't always know what to do in a live. People want you to come up with ideas. But sometimes people have ideas. Like this one, just, you know, I showed the pictures I did this week and they're like, can you show us how to do that? So I was like, yeah, I can demonstrate it. All right. Now I kind of lift it up and see. See, I think I want another one over here. Doesn't have to be big. I don't need it to be perfectly symmetrical. I just use my eye and see. He did not turn it off, did he? Rude. He knows I'm doing a video. Well, he probably doesn't even hear it. He's got headphones on. He's oblivious. I actually restarted the video because he came to ask me a question and I couldn't say the words when I was trying to start my video anyway. So I was like, oh, okay, I'll just restart it. He's like, yeah, that's a good idea. He's funny. He's a little bit of a perfectionist, though. He and his brother want to start a YouTube channel, and they've recorded stuff, but, you know, if it's not perfect, is Nathan ever going to put it up? I don't know. Oh, my goodness. Okay, I'm getting, like, littler and littler, because I'm just going for trying to get the shape of my flower now to where I like it. See, now I have like all these little ones, but if you're doing perspective, then you would have your bigger ones in the front and your little smaller ones in the back. But I think I need to do, I don't need to, I want to do something here. And this is just all gut. There's no rules. There's no rhyme or reason why I want that one there. But what I don't want to do is pull that to the point where I cut my line. There we go. I think I want a little. A little something there. Just that doesn't want to come up. Don't fight it, just go back and recut that line before you rip your whole thing apart. Alright, let me see. Yeah, kind of like that. So now what I do is I just go around the whole outside edge, leaving about the same thickness I've been doing, or maybe even a little bit thicker. So I cut out the whole flower. And when I do my, I just realized if I, you know, like when you do with scissors, you move the paper, not the scissors. For my curves, sometimes I prefer to use my hand. But for this particular part, I seem to have better luck turning my paper. Kind of. It can be a little bit more precise when I turn my knife and not my paper. But this is going faster to turn my, not paper, what is this? Transparency film. My sheet. It's just, and I might be able to pull it out in one full sweep instead of having all the little, except for some reason, even though I'm not lifting my pen, it's still moving, and so I was like, I have to readjust. Alright, almost, and I want to make sure I have a little bit of I didn't want a straight line there, if you get what I'm saying. Alright. See, the last time I did this, I had to keep doing this about 10 times around it. So, moving the film instead of the knife did allow me to keep the knife in there so I don't have as many parts that still connect. Sorry, I was looking for the cover for that, but I don't see it right this second. So let's see what this looks like real quick. If there's a place on here. No, there's no place on there. Here we got a place, sort of. This is just my test. This is my test paper. If I ever want to actually use the paper, because it is pretty paper on the other side, I'll just do a jelly plate over it. Okay, now the reason that's this more for jelly plate than for actually using it as a stencil is just because it is flimsy. But if you're just laying it on a jelly plate and using your brayer on it, once you stick it to the jelly plate, it's pretty much stuck there, and you can put your jelly plate on there. And then if you don't want your fingerprints, just find yourself, well, it doesn't have to be this kind, but some kind of tweezers help. Yeah. Can't believe he just leaves it like that. I want to kind of, oh, and then my friend, Lori Nichols, she has her own channel too. She says when you go over the edge like this, it's called a glow. So if you are using your ink with it and you just go, you just have a glow, but you want to see the outside of your flower. So there we go. It's a little blurry because I moved the stencil, but you know, they're not made for using as stencils on paper. They're made for using on my jelly plate. So that's it for today. There's my little fat bunny. I kind of love him. I might have to, he's just a funny shape. Oh my goodness. But he's my own creation. I love him. Okay, and my bird. I actually made a bird and a bunny today, earlier. So, yep, that's how I make that flower. And I think I showed you the squiggly lines and I don't know, just little tips and stuff. So, y'all have a great day. I'm going to play. My husband's home now, so I got to go. Oh, and then don't forget, like, when you have your animals, you can just cut them out of pretty paper. All right. Talk to you later. Love you guys.